to be learning about estimating within word problems. So our learning target is I can estimate within word problems. Yesterday we focused on rounding both numbers and then either finding a sum or difference of those numbers. So today we're going to be doing the same thing, but we're going to have to add an extra step to that. So you'll know you've done this when you've read the problem, you've decided whether you're finding a sum or difference, and then you're going to follow the same success criteria as yesterday. You're going to round both numbers and then add or subtract. You're going to find a sum or difference. So the only thing we're doing differently today would be putting it within context of a word problem. So we're going to come back and revisit this learning target in a little bit. So our first problem that we're going to be talking about is about Billy and James. And I'm going to read the problem first. That's the first step in my success criteria. So as I read the problem, it says, Billy has $435 and James has $391. About how much money do the boys have together? So the first thing that I do when I read a word problem is I go ahead and highlight important information. So now you see that I've highlighted both of the numbers because I know both of those values are going to be important. And I've also highlighted, and you'll see I did it in green, the word about. About is the word in a word problem. It's a key word, a signal word for me that I'm going to be estimating. If you don't see the word about in a problem, you're likely going to be finding an actual answer. In this problem, all you need is an estimate. So you're not going to be finding an exact answer. So I've read the problem. The second part of my success criteria says that I need to figure out whether or not I'm finding a sum or a difference. The word together helps me understand that I'm putting these values together. And when I put two values together, I know I'm finding a sum. So I've written both of my numbers and I've written a plus sign here because I know I'm finding a sum. The next step of my success criteria would be to round both numbers. Now, you can use whatever rounding strategy you've been using. Some of you use the neighbor next door, number lines, fishhook strategy, whatever strategy you use to round. You're going to round both of these numbers to the greatest place value. Both of these numbers are 3-digit numbers that go to the hundreds place. So you're going to round both of these numbers to the nearest 100, and then you will find the sum. So as you go now, you see that 435 is close to 400. It would be closer to 400 than it would be 500. And then 391 is very close to 400. So it would be closer to 400 than it would be 300. And then when I add these two add-ins together, I get an estimated sum of $800. So the answer to my question is the boys have about $800 together. So let's look at another problem. Gracie's family wanted a new television. They found two that they really liked. The first television was $2,376. The second television was $1,097. About how much more was television one? So the first thing, again, that I needed to do in my success criteria was read the problem. And I always like to use my highlighters to help me figure out what words are going to help me solve this problem. So I'm going to highlight the numbers. The word about, again, is a signal word to me that I am estimating. And I see the words how much more. How much more? When I see those words, I know that I'm comparing two values. I have a value and I'm trying to figure out how much more the other value is. So if I'm looking at two values and I'm comparing the two, how much more is one than the other? I know that I'm subtracting. So I'm going to set up my problem here. As you see, I've got my two numbers up here and I know that I'm subtracting. I'm finding a difference here. So the first part of my success criteria was to read the problem, and then I needed to figure out whether I was finding a sum or difference. So I've done that. So now, just like yesterday, we're going to round both numbers to the greatest place value, and then we're going to subtract them. So as I round both of these numbers, you'll see 2,376 is going to be closer to 2,000 than it would be 3,000. And then 1,097, it's not that much more than $1,000. So that would round to 1,000. So the difference of those two estimated numbers would be 1,000. So television one is about $1,000 more expensive than television two. So did we hit our learning target today? Well, yes, now you know how to estimate within word problems. You know you need to read the problem. You need to decide if you're finding a sum or difference. Round both numbers using whatever rounding strategy that you use, and then add or subtract the numbers.